Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the NBA, and I'm actually going to make a legit full-on NBA recap video where we're going to go over the top 25 players. I have time to do so, so I'm going to do it. I got a little time. I'm probably going to do this, maybe play some video games. Me and the boys are going to get some wing stuff tonight, or maybe watch some NBA because my Celtics play the Heat tonight on NBA TV, so we might be able to watch that. Yeah, a lot of shifts in the NBA, like in terms of the power rankings, a lot of people introduced to the list, a lot of people moving up and down. There's still a lot of injury troubles in the NBA. This is just pretty much if this All-Star game was today, this is who I believe, the 25 players I believe should be on the All-Star team. But again, injuries are a big thing. People make comebacks, all that stuff. So without further ado, I'll kind of just summarize the players on this list. I don't think I'm going to go into stats or anything, but coming in at number 25, we are talking about this Grizzlies squad. There's 2 All-Stars on the Grizzlies as of right now. Let's just look at their record. I don't really like just looking at ESPN for everything. I kind of like talking about it. This is a young guy. They got a very good young core going on in Memphis. They're 35 and 17, a really good basketball team. We're talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. He can do anything. He can score from anywhere. He's a pretty good defender. Him and another All-Star on this team complement very well, and we will talk about him actually in a little bit. There are a couple teams in the NBA right now that have 2 All-Stars. We have some All-Star tandems kind of establishing around the NBA, and these teams are looking to make really big playoff runs, and congratulations to Jaren Jackson. You have made my top 25 list for the first time in the year. I think he might have made it earlier in the year. He did have a killer first quarter of the season, but let's just move on to the next player. This is a guy I'm surprised that's on the list. He's a really good center. He used to play for the Magic. That's the hint. He's on the Bulls team now. The Bulls have 2 All-Stars, and with the absence of Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, this guy's a big man who's definitely taken over. We're talking about Nikola Vucevic. He's a very good guy, very good player. Not guy. He's a good guy too, I guess. That wasn't the point, but Bulls. I think they're still atop the Eastern Conference. I'd have to check, but I'm not going to check right now. Again, I'm just talking solely about player performances because there are players on this list that are on some bad teams, and that's just the reality of the NBA. If you're on a bad team, you're going to play really well, but with Vucevic, he is a second option on a really, really good Bulls team. He definitely deserved to move out of Orlando, and so far it's been really successful for him so far. Him being able to be hurt while the team's still doing good is definitely a luxury he has in Chicago, and that is awesome to see. Now, here's one of the guys we're going to talk about next that's on a bad basketball team. We're talking about Oklahoma City's very own. There's only one guy I should be talking about here. They have a good rookie core, I suppose. They have some good young guys maybe that they can develop over the years, but we're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming in at 23. A lot of really likable players that made my top 25 list. Shai's been on here for a couple of weeks. I think this is pretty solid. Every NBA player's gone through their every star, anyways, has gone through their injury troubles in the year, and they've somehow bounced back and made it back into All-Star talks. There's a lot of examples of that we'll get into very soon. Shai is kind of one of them. He's always been a borderline All-Star / All-Star ever since he's gotten the opportunity to lead his own team. Obviously, they're not doing well, but he's the number 1 option. And it hasn't been like that his whole career, so now that he's on the Thunder, he's been there for a couple of years, obviously, but he's definitely an All-Star on this team, and the only All-Star at that. They're not a very good team. Next, we are going to talk about a really respectable player in the NBA. This guy's road to making the league was so awesome. And this Raptors team is good. Let me tell you, this Raptors team is good. Really good game tonight coming up against the Hawks. You guys know who I'm talking about here with this Raptors team. He's been on this list for a great majority of the season. He's definitely an All-Star in my books. We're talking about Freddie VanVleet, Mini Drake, whatever you want to call him. Pascal Siakam's gotten hurt and or has not been playing as well as he has recently, so Fred VanVleet has to step up. This team's legit. I think this Raptors team's really good. Gary Trent's playing really good. They got some gems. Raptors always find a way. I think that's awesome. Ever since the Lowry to Rosen era, this team has always found a way to win games and make it to the playoffs and win a championship with Kawhi. So that's awesome. Maybe Fred VanVleet can start his own legacy, and he's pretty successful at it so far. Let's move on to number 21. This is the other guy on that young Grizzlies team. They made the play-in last year, but I think they're definitely going to be like that. You really want to be like a top 4 team in your conference. That's really good to. That's a really good position to have, and I think they're going to be one of those teams. This Grizzlies team is so good, and obviously this guy should be higher on the list. We're talking about Ja Morant here, but obviously the injury troubles, he's had to bounce back from them. He's had to come back, and he's had to play like he usually does. He had to catch up to other players, but here we go. Ja Morant is back on the list. I do take injuries into account. Not a lot of people do that, but I definitely do. I think it matters a lot because, like, with AD, people say he's an all-star, but, like, he's hurt right now. He's not even relevant. Or he was hurt for a while. He's not even relevant. He's back, obviously killing it, but he's been hurt so long that he hasn't been consistently playing. So you can't really just gift some. It takes a lot to be on my top 25 list. You have to be consistent. But I'm moving on to number 20, another guy that's currently battling with injuries, and I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be on this top 25 list. And talking about the All-Star talks with this guy doesn't really matter because I don't even think he's participating in the All-Star game. We are talking about, right now, the second option on the Nets. We're talking about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, the best scorer in the league. I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I have his jersey in my closet over there. You want me to go get that real quick? Why not? I won't do this every video, but here you guys go. City Nets jersey, Kevin Durant. There's my boy. That jersey's fire, by the way, but he's a really good scorer. Obviously, he's hurt, but he's still an all-star. I still got to give it to him. He's still playing really, really well. He's given the Nets one of the best records in the NBA. I think they're probably like a top 5, 10 team in the NBA, which is really good. Moving on to number 19, I'm so happy this guy has been able to get himself back on this list. It is the Lone Star on the Mavericks, and I mean, just a little update. Let's see how the Mavericks are doing as of now. They're good. They're 29-22 with one All-Star player. I think that is really impressive. Luka Doncic, man. Luka Doncic has managed to come back from an injury and lead them at 7 games above 500. That is extremely impressive. You know, obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. will have his games. Kristaps will have his games. Dorian Finney-Smith, maybe Maxi Kleber will have their games. They have a really good chemistry. You know, those guys have been playing together since Luka has been on the team, and I think that's awesome. I think that's essential for a team that's going to make it far in the playoffs. I could see them making it far. You know, Luka Doncic is going to do anything necessary to give these guys wins, and he's been doing it so far this year. We're pretty much like, I don't really know how far we are through the season. Maybe 60% of the way if I had to approximate. But let's move on to number 18. Only all-star on this Jazz team as of now. You know, injuries have definitely plagued this team as of late. But they've had such a dominant start to the season that it doesn't really matter all that much. They're still 30-21, which obviously isn't as good as they should be. Like, if we're going off the pace of how they started this year, but they're still a really, really good basketball team. They just took a loss to the Timberwolves, but I mean, the Timberwolves deserved that win. I mean, they need to get back in the groove of things. I think I'll talk about a player on the Timberwolves here very soon, but Rudy Gobert, he's the lone all-star. I'm not going to consider Mitchell an all-star. He just got hurt. He's kind of bounced himself out of that with the injury, but Rudy Gobert's been playing exceptional even through his injuries. He's came back and proved he's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. He's one of the best big men in the NBA with his rebounding. I mean, he's just an exceptional talent on the basketball court. Moving on to what number are we on? 17. This guy has consistently been on the list all year. He is a one-man show, if you will. There's a decent amount of one-man shows in the NBA. Not a good team. He's not on a good team. I don't think the Knicks are good at all. They have the talents to be good. They were really good last year. I think they made it to the second round, I believe. Maybe. Could have been the first round. They made the playoffs. That's the point. The New York Knicks aren't used to making the playoffs, but this year it's going to be hard for them to even make the play. With the streaking Hawks, the good Raptors, the Celtics are kind of starting to figure things out with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It's going to be hard. This guy, Julius Randle, former most improved player, he's going to have to figure it out. Really, he really is. Who knows how he's going to figure it out, but they're going to have to start winning some games. They're going to have to go on a Hawks-esque streak if they want to even make the play-in. I don't think they're in the play-in right now. I haven't looked at the playoffs. I mean, we're far away. It's too early for that, but still. Let's just move on to number 16, another guy on this Bulls team. I mean, they're good. And this guy has been, oh, he's an MVP candidate. I mean, he's not even a top 15 player in the NBA. I'm not hating on him. He's still top 20, but it's DeMar DeRozan. I don't think he's as good as people think he is, but he's still good. He's still good, no doubt. He's still an all-star. All-star starter, you're talking about top 15 range. If you're in the top 15, you're pretty much an all-star starter. I don't think he's quite that, but he's still a really good player. With Zach LaVine being hurt, he's definitely had to step into this role. Kind of like what he did on the Spurs. You know, he was kind of that, like, number one option. He's used to being the best player on the team, no doubt. Someone slammed the fuck out of the door. Okay, whatever. DeMar DeRozan, he's kind of used to being that number one option on his teams. He's been that for years, really. So, yeah, I'm sure he's not mad at it. Moving on to the top 15, we have back-to-back players. 15 and 14 are from the same team. This is another all-star tandem team. We are talking about the lovely Hornets. The 28 and 23 young core that is the Hornets, a legitimate team in the NBA. And it's crazy to say this because even when Kemba Walker, Cardiac Kemba was on the team, they couldn't be this good. And now they have two really young all-stars that are having pretty much most improved seasons. And one of them is LaMelo Ball, great passer. I mean, him and this next year I'm going to talk about kind of complement each other. LaMelo passes to him and he dunks it. You guys should know what I'm talking about. But LaMelo Ball is a top 15 player. He's a borderline all-star starter. He's really, really good. I really like how he's playing this year. Obviously, they got Gordon Hayward and T-Row. Scary Terry, whatever you want to call him. I don't even know why I call him T-Row. It's really Scary Terry, but yeah. We're just going to speak about the Hornets again because we got Miles Bridges. Most improved player. Like, he's a top 15 player this year. Whoever guessed that he was going to be a top 15 player here deserves, like, a lot of money. Because, like, if you betted on him being a top 15 player in the league, like, you're insane. He's easily a top 15 player in the league. He's amazing. He's playing very, very exceptional basketball right now. It is Miles Bridges, man. Like 30-point games out the wazoo. 25-point games out the wazoo when no one expected that. Last year he probably averaged, 15 points a game? I mean, let's just see what he's doing right now. Dude's averaging 20. Like, I don't know what he did last year necessarily, but, man, dude is averaging 20 points a game. But, yeah. And in the last 10 games, he's averaged 23. So he's been on a scoring tear lately, and he's helped this team collect some W's and keep going through their season. So that's definitely respectable. Moving on to number 13. Comeback player of the year, honestly, one of them. I mean, we're talking about LeBron James here. Went through a lot of injuries. He's been injured for such a while now, but he still managed to be like the 13th best player in the NBA, if I had to approximate. I mean, you could put him higher, you could put him lower. I don't really care. It's your opinion, but I don't think LeBron's like a top 10 player. I still think he's really good, but he's had too many injuries to kind of be there. It's kind of unfair when you have other players consistently playing and putting up really big numbers. LeBron, though. I mean, looking at the Lakers here, they're garbage. Let's be real. This Lakers team is garbage. That's the reality. Even with two All-Stars on their team, they are absolutely garbage. And again, I'm not counting Anthony Davis. He's been hurt for too long. LeBron and Russell Westbrook. I'm getting ready to talk about Russell Westbrook because honestly, he's having a better season than LeBron James. I don't want to hear it from anybody. Russell Westbrook's maintained a healthy season. I mean, you can't really blame that on the player. You just gotta, blame it on the circumstances, obviously. But Russell Westbrook's healthy, so that's just it. Number 12, we're talking about a guy that's kind of led his team from bad to mediocre. It's kind of their situation. We're talking about these Timberwolves. They have one All-Star. They used to have two. I don't know what happened with Anthony Edwards. Maybe he got hurt. He's been playing really good, though. We're talking about Karl-Anthony Towns, though, of course. Karl-Anthony Towns, great big man. He's established himself as a good big man. The Dominican Republican. I think that's how you say that. Karl-Anthony Towns, really good player. He's 12th in the league. What do you guys want me to say? His team isn't the best. Let's see. Tomorrow they're playing the Nuggets. That's going to be a big test for them. They got some pretty good teams to play down the stretch. I root for them to make the playoffs. I really want the Timberwolves to make the playoffs. It's a team that I'm a pretty big fan of. I like the Timberwolves and what they got going, but who knows? We'll have to see how they go. Congrats to Cat, though, for having a great season. Moving on to number 11. Dude is an animal, but obviously he's not going to be given credit when he plays for such a bad franchise. I mean, an 18-33 mediocre franchise that has tried to rebuild for years and years and years. We're talking about the Pacers. Really, most of the guys for the rest of the list are on good teams, but there's a couple. I can think of one other guy on the top of my head in this top 10 that I'm going to talk about that's not on a good team, and you guys are going to hate because he's one of the best players in the league, and his team is just not good, so it doesn't make him look good. But Domantas Sabonis. We're talking about Domantas Sabonis on this Pacers team. He is 11th. He's really, really good. He's better than LeBron. He's better than Cat. I don't want to hear anybody say that. Individually, as a player, Sabonis is the 11th best player in the NBA. He deserves an all-star nod, all that stuff. He's a really good player. You guys see my Kobe bottle? It's pretty sick. Body armor, baby. Not sponsored. Hashtag. But moving on to the top 10. This is big time. These are like the big shots of the NBA right now. And most of them are on good teams, so they deserve this. We're talking about the Suns right now. 40-9. 40-9 Suns. It's one of the best seasons the Suns have had ever, probably. I mean, they haven't lost 10 games yet, and they're getting ready to play their 50th game. They haven't lost 10 games in 50 games. That's ridiculous. Chris Paul, though. Chris Paul, he is top 10. He is the reason this team is 40-9. You want to say Devin Booker? Devin Booker is a borderline all-star. I don't think he's an all-star just yet. Maybe he can prove himself before this all-star break hits, but I think the voting ended, which I don't know why. I think they should give the players a chance, but Chris freaking Paul, best passer in the league, one of the best facilitating point guards, one of the best pure traditional point guards. He's so good. Congratulations to the Suns, bro. Moving on to number 9. This guy has shocked the entire league by himself, and maybe Tobias Harris and Seth Curry. You guys get the hint by now. Talking about Joel Embiid. He's led the Sixers to a 30-19 record, and tonight they're playing the Grizzlies. That's going to be a great game. Wow. Joel Embiid, trust in the process still, man. I mean, 30-19, that is really, really good with the absence of Ben Simmons. They've lost some momentum, but dude, Joel Embiid is a top 10 player in the league now when he hasn't even been playing the entire year. People want to say he's like an MVP candidate. I don't want to go that far just yet. You got to give this guy more time to play. He's like a 9th. He's top 10 though. He's top 10. He should be considered for a candidacy, but I don't know. As a Celtics fan, I'm definitely proud of what the Sixers team is doing. They're doing better than my Celtics, so I can't really hate on the Sixers. They're probably about 4 games ahead of my Celtics in terms of record. Moving on to number 8, Westbrook. Bad team, but Westbrook tries all he can. I mean, yeah, he's not a good shooter. He shot over 50% in their last game. But, I mean, you can't have Avery Bradley putting up 4 points in 22 minutes. You sure as hell can't have Reeves putting up 6 points in 26 minutes. I think it's time to start blaming your surrounding pieces. It's not always the Stars' fault for the loss, and Russell Westbrook is still a top 10 player in the league. I don't want to hear it. We're talking about a guy that's averaging 19 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds a game, although he's not very efficient. I mean, 19, 8, and 8 is all you need to know. He's putting up like a DeJounte Murray, mini DeJounte Murray type of season. We'll talk about him here in a little bit, but Russell Westbrook, he's good. He's an all-star. I don't care. Let's move on to number 7. Guy's kind of bounced out of the MVP rankings. I mean, he's been considered as an MVP, and yes, his team is 37-13. Russell Westbrook. I forgot his team's bad, so. Warriors. We're talking about Steph Curry, Klay Thompson coming back. They're really good. They're 24 games over 500. And most of the season they didn't have Klay, so they're getting ready to shit on the Rockets too. I'm not gonna lie, this Warriors schedule is easy as hell. You can kind of discount them for that, but Steph Curry's coming out here averaging 26 points a game, 6 assists. So he's still considered as he can be considered as an MVP candidate. If you said he was an MVP candidate, I wouldn't be mad at you at all. but I don't think he's an MVP candidate in my eyes. Still a really good team, though. Do I want them to win the Super Bowl or NBA Finals? No, I don't. I want a different team to win. I want to see some parity in the NBA. But anyways, moving on to number 6. One of my favorite players in the league. Man, I need to get his jersey. I'm not going to say his team is good yet, but they're the Hawks. They're on a 6-game streak. I would still consider them as a bad team, but this is tonight's game against the Raptors is a very pivotal part of the season because they could go from bad to mediocre. And let me tell you, Trae Young smoked that Lakers pack. Let me just say that right now. Trae Young is the 6th best player in the NBA. He's really good. He's better than Steph Curry. I don't know why that's an argument. I mean, statistically, he is top 10, and people want to hate on him. I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where the hate comes from. He's a really, really good player. I need to get his jersey. Yeah, I'll probably get his jersey by the time the NBA season ends. And I'm also going to make a deal that whoever wins the Super Bowl, I'm getting my favorite player on that team's jersey for the NFL. So that's something else for you guys to look forward to, I guess. That'd make it fun. I'm not going to order it right after the Super Bowl, but I will sometime. But moving on, we're in the top 5 here. Talking about the Nets. I mean, if you want to look at their record, we can. 29-20. They're still 9 games over 500 with a struggling with injuries. James Harden, though, is the reason they're 29-20, and Kevin Durant is a reason they're 29-20. I don't want to discount him, but he's been hurt, and it's still impressive that they're that good. Kyrie Irving just came back, and he's played really good. I'm loving how Kyrie's playing. He's putting up 25 every single night since he's been able to play, and they're on a road trip, so then maybe that'll give him momentum. But shout out to James Harden. He's been playing like a really, really good player. He's a borderline MVP candidate for me. He is just so good. His team's good, so why not? Why not give him the nod? And you guys are gonna be surprised on who my third MVP candidate is, who the bottom of the ladder is. But moving on up next, my favorite player in the league is the 4th best player statistically in the NBA. I'm going off of stats. Yes, he might not have the best shooting percentages this year. Yes, he might not be the most efficient, but total stats, Jason Tatum is the 4th best player in the NBA. He's top 5. So, Celtics are good right now. I like how we're playing. You guys might not, but I like how we're playing. Jason Tatum's averaging 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, top 40 efficiency. I mean, that's not very good. It's hard to be efficient when you get the ball in your hands 90% of the game. It's hard. You have to make a play with it every freaking time. But tonight, Celtics got a tough battle against Miami. I'm not going to lie. This isn't going to be a walk in the park. But you know what's an interesting stat? The leading scorer on the Heat is Tyler Hero. I guess that's not too surprising with all the injuries. But Jason Tatum, number 4. Jaylen Brown is struggling his way back into the All-Star conversation. I'm not sure if he's going to get there before the All-Star break. But as of now, Tatum is all we got. So Jaylen Brown's obviously good, but MVP candidates, DeJounte Murray. Like, statistically, DeJounte Murray is an MVP candidate. Okay? 19-32. Yeah, that's horrible. Alright? But DeJounte Murray is just so good this year. I mean, and there's no denying it. You got a guy that's averaging 19, 8, and 9 while being a top 25 and all-star level of efficiency. He's pretty much all-star level and everything but scoring, and he's just underneath that. He's an all-star rebounder. He's like one of the best passers in the league. Tomorrow they got a tough match against the Warriors, but statistically he's an MVP candidate. They wouldn't pick him as MVP obviously because his team is 13 games under 500 at this point in the year. That's kind of sad, but whatever. He's still playing really good. Still gonna be proud of him. And you guys know my top 2. We're getting into the first one, Giannis. I can't like just keep repeating the same things. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, he is on the 31-21 Bucks. Tomorrow they're playing a not so good Wizards team. I don't think the Wizards are good, to be honest. They're struggling. But dude's averaging 29 points a game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. He is an all-star in every category. He's even an all-star passer. 5.8 assists a game is all-star level. I mean, and he's top 10 in everything but passing. Every, of the 4 main stats, that is efficiency, scoring, passing, rebounding. He's top 10 in everything but passing. And would you ever expect Giannis to be top 10? I don't think so. He takes it to the rim himself most of the time. Yeah, he's got a supporting piece, but literally, I don't even care about supporting piece. We're talking statistically, what he has done himself. He's top 2. I think Jokic could be MVP, who we're going to talk about right now, but I don't know. It's kind of conflicting. People are really saying Embiid. People are weird. They overreact about things. But, like, the Nuggets are 28 and 21, and they haven't had MPJ, Jamal Murray. All they've had is Jokic of that big 3. That's it. Maybe Aaron Gordon's pretty good. But the dude's averaging 26 points a game, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. Again, top 10 in every category. Every category. He's the most efficient. He's the second best rebounder. He's 8th in assists. He's 9th in points. When you're top 10 in scoring and passing at center, I think that deserves an MVP. And he's such a skilled NBA player. He's one of the best big men, like, on paper I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's no big man that will come out there and put up triple-doubles like Jokic. None. There's not a single one. Yeah, that's my Jokic praise for the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I give you guys a full, in-depth video of my top 25 players in the NBA right now. I do it every single week. I know I sound redundant when I talk about some NBA players, but some NBA players deserve the praise for the week. My MVP, Jokic. I don't know if that's ever going to change. He is 7 games above 500, and his team is trash, okay? Like, if you guys want to look, we'll look at the Nuggets. Just look at some of these games they've played. So, they just got done shitting on the Bucks. Obviously Aaron Gordon played really well. Aaron Gordon, okay. Aaron Gordon's good, but Jokic is just so good, man. With that team, you should not be 7 games over 500. Leave a like, comment, subscribe.